Ever since the world began, water hasn't stopped moving. It flows smoothly from the high mountaintops down to the deepest parts of the ocean. It rains, it evaporates, it freezes, and it flows under the ground. And with every part of this cycle that never stops, life, that amazing and delicate wonder, is kept alive. The water cycle isn't just something that happens in nature. It's like the main director of life's big dance on Earth. When we talk about the water cycle, we don't just mean it's some simple thing that works all by itself, like a machine. We're talking about the true pulse of the planet. This cycle helps control the weather, shapes the land all around us, makes the soil rich so plants can grow, keeps rivers flowing, and even ends up in our morning coffee. Evaporation, the first leap to the sky. It all starts when the sun, with all its energy, warms up the water in oceans, lakes, and rivers. When the water gets this heat, its tiny parts start to move around a lot. It's like they want to fly, and they change into vapor. So they start their trip up to the sky. But it's not just water in oceans, lakes, and rivers that evaporates. Water from damp ground and wet leaves also evaporates. Wet leaves do it too. The whole planet quietly helps out with this invisible trip up to the sky. Plants, our quiet green friends, also have their own special way to be part of this water cycle. They soak up water from the ground, move it up through their stems, and then let it out from their leaves as vapor. This is called transpiration. It's just as important as evaporation for keeping water moving in the air around us. Tropical rainforests, for instance, transpire so much water they make their own mini-weather called a microclimate. This helps make the rain that keeps them green. It's a cycle inside a cycle. Condensation, a process that turns water vapor into clouds, takes its time. As the vapor rises, it meets colder layers of air. Like a dance of molecules, the vapor cools down and changes into tiny water drops or ice crystals. These tiny drops group together to form clouds that float like steamy islands in the sky. Those clouds, looking so light and airy, are actually big water storages, just waiting, and only time will make them act. And the amazing part is, each cloud tells a weather story, a special mix of temperature, how wet the air is, and wind. Precipitation? This is the part of the cycle where water comes back home. It does this as rain, snow, or something in between. When the drops in the clouds get too big and heavy, they can't stay up there anymore, so they fall. Sometimes as rain, other times as snow, hail, or drizzle. That's how water returns to Earth, changing back into its liquid or solid form. Each type of precipitation has its own special job. Snow stores water that melts slowly in the spring. Rain directly feeds rivers and helps crops grow. And hail, even though it can cause some damage, also helps put water back into the ground. Everything counts and has a purpose in nature. We probably think that rainwater is just the water we can see traveling in rivers or in lakes and ponds. But I'm going to let you in on a secret. A lot of the rainwater actually hides from us in underground storage places called aquifers. Some of the water that hits the ground doesn't run off or evaporate, it seeps in. With the help of gravity, it trickles through the soil, moving down slowly, passing through layers of sand, clay, and rock, until it reaches those underground aquifers. Aquifers, these hidden underground pools, are super important. In many parts of the world, especially where it doesn't rain much, aquifers are the main source of drinking water. Have you ever wondered where the water in oases comes from? Why do they never run out of water? The answer lies in aquifers that are close to the surface. Desert oases are spots where water comes up from underground. This water likely comes from rain that seeps into the ground in other places and then travels underground to reach them. But hey, if you want to learn more about aquifers, I'll leave a link to our video about them in the description below, or you can click the card up on the screen. Now, let's continue. The rest of the water from the rain flows over the land. It joins streams, rivers, and lakes, and finally flows into the oceans. It's a journey that can last minutes or centuries, depending on the land, the plants, and the weather. Streams, like little silver threads, travel down hillsides and through valleys, making their way through the plants. As they move along, they meet other streams, joining their waters in a constant hug. From this joining from many streams coming together, rivers are born, bigger bodies of water that flow with more power. Rivers are like the Earth's arteries, carrying life with them. Along their way, rivers collect water from other rivers and streams, getting bigger and stronger. The water on its way to the sea shapes the land, making valleys, carving out canyons like the Colorado River in the United States, or making amazing curves carved by the rivers, also called meanders. It's a slow and steady process, an endless dance between the water and the land. Rivers are much more than just simple streams of water. They are the veins of our planet, carrying life and connecting different ecosystems. In their waters, many different kinds of animals and plants find their home. Rivers carry essential nutrients for life, fertilizing the lands they pass through and helping plants and animals survive. They are a source of food and shelter for countless species, from small insects to large mammals. Besides, rivers are a vital source of fresh water for human communities. Throughout history, civilizations have flourished on the banks of rivers, using their waters to drink, irrigate their crops, and transport goods. Protecting rivers is protecting life itself, ensuring a good, long-lasting future for everyone. One of the most amazing things about the water cycle is that the total amount of water on our planet pretty much stays the same. The water you use for cooking today might have once been inside a dinosaur, or maybe it was part of a giant glacier thousands of years ago. The water cycle doesn't create or destroy water, it moves it, cleans it, and makes it new again. This natural recycling is a real wonder of nature. Without any man-made filters or pumping stations, the planet keeps an almost perfect system running all by itself. But of course, as we'll see later on, that balance can also be broken. Clouds don't just bring rain, they also help control the planet's temperature. During the day, they reflect some sunlight, stopping it from getting too hot. At night, they act like a blanket that traps heat and stops it from escaping into space. This natural effect, known as the greenhouse effect, is needed for life. Without it, Earth would be a cold and empty planet. But when the air fills up with man-made greenhouse gases, like carbon dioxide, this effect gets stronger and messes up the climate system, making the planet's temperatures go up even more. Climate change is changing the water cycle, and it's a big change. Hotter temperatures make water evaporate faster, which can mean more rain or more droughts. It all depends on where and how it happens. Dry places are getting even drier. Heavy rains are happening more often in other places. And when ice melts at the poles, lots and lots of fresh water is released, messing with ocean currents and making sea levels rise. This new rhythm, faster and all mixed up, is really testing nature and people to see how strong they are. Building dams and taking out too much water for watering crops and for people to drink changes how rivers naturally flow, hurting the plants and animals that need them, and making it hard for millions of people to get enough water. When it doesn't rain for a long time, the water in our lakes and rivers and the water hidden under the ground starts to run out. Crops dry up and die. Farm animals die. And forest fires get much worse. Cities have to tell people to use less water. When the water cycle is messed up, it can make people poor and hungry, and they might have to leave their homes. But on the flip side, too much water can also cause a lot of harm. Rivers overflow, streets look like rivers, and houses get washed away. Floods are especially tough on countries that don't have a lot of ways to protect themselves, where their buildings and roads can't stand up to all that powerful water. Burning fuels like oil and coal puts bad stuff into the air. When this mixes with the water drops in the clouds, it makes acid rain. This rain hurts forests, makes lakes sour, makes the ground bad for plants, and eats away at buildings. It's a really clear way to see how what we do can change the water cycle by adding bad chemicals to it. Glaciers and ice caps hold a lot of our fresh water. But with global warming, they're melting really, really fast. This causes two main problems. First, the sea level goes up, and that affects towns and cities near the coast. And second, a lot of fresh water gets released. This changes how salty the ocean water is, its temperature, and how heavy it is. This can mess up the homes of sea animals and plants. Plus, when glaciers disappear, millions of people are in danger. They count on the melting ice for water, especially when there's not much rain. Protecting the water cycle is something we all need to do together. We can't control it, but we can stop ourselves from messing it up. Here are some important things we can do. Protect the forests and the ground that help water soak in. Use water wisely when we farm and at home. Fight climate change by making less pollution. Take care of rivers, lakes, and the water under the ground so they don't get polluted. Every drop of water you see, whether it's in a glass, a cloud, or a river, has been around for thousands of years. It's been in big ice mountains, inside animals, huge storms, and secret water spots in the desert. Understanding the water cycle isn't just about knowing how the Earth works. It's about seeing how amazing and neat life is. The water cycle, when you think about it, is the never-ending journey that keeps our blue planet alive. Don't forget to leave us a comment, subscribe, and like the video. Thanks. See you next time.